Hi everyone. So I was supposed to do this in the beginning of the year. This is the reading to the Bible, the Holy Bible. If you're starting, the New Living Translation and the Message Translation are a little bit easier to understand as far as the wording. And I'm using of course, the Torah translation in English. It's easier for me, kind of, to understand it. So, sorry, I forgot to put my ringer off my phone. So I'm gonna get through the video. I know we're already February, so we're gonna have to kind of like, I'm starting, but I'm gonna start from here and catch up. Some days I'll have extra. If you have any questions or notes, I'm gonna leave another video afterwards because most of these I just want to go through the readings so that way we could kind of have them all together. Okay, so we're gonna start Genesis 1:1. It's a little bit hard to read because this text is little, so I have to kind of like broaden my eyes to try to catch all these words. I do speak kind of fast, so I'm going to try to slow down. You might have to watch this once or twice, but the wording is very important. So God's word, you have to read in between the lines, and it's not something. Always tell anybody that is studying that if you learn something, if you read something, you have to be able to teach it to somebody else. That means you learned it, because if you can't do that, then you didn't really understand what you are learning, and then you should just keep going with that. So, keep restudying it, redoing it till you do understand it well enough to teach it to somebody else, because that's the only way you know that you truly learned. Okay, so here we go. Genesis 1:1. When God created heaven and earth, the earth being unformed and void with darkness over the surface of the depths, and the winds of God swept over the waters. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the darkness day. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning the first day. God said, "Let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, that it may be separated from water. And God made the expanse, and he separated water which was below, and the expanse from the water that was above the expanse. And it was so. God called the expanse sky, and there was evening and morning the second day. God said, "Let the water below the sky be gathered into one area of dry land, that the dry land may appear." And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the gatherings of the water he called sea. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the earth sprout vegetation, seed-bearing plant, fruit trees of every kind on the earth, that bear fruit with seed in it." And it was so. And the earth brought forth vegetation, seed-bearing plants of every kind, and tree of every kind, bearing fruit with seed in it. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening, and there was morning the third day. God said, "Let there be light in the expanse of the sky to separate day from night, and they shall serve as a sign to set times, the days and the years, and they will serve as a light in the expanse of the sky, to shine upon the earth." And it was so. God made two great lights, the greater light to dominate the day, and the lesser light to dominate the night, and the stars. And God set them in expanse in the sky to shine upon the earth, to dominate the day and the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and morning the fourth day. God said, "Let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures, and birds that fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky." God created the great sea monsters and all the living creatures of every kind that creeps which the waters brought forth in swarms, and all the winged birds of every kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them, saying, Be fertile and increase, fill the waters of the seas, and let the birds increase on the earth." And and there was evening and morning, marking the 5th day. God said, "Let the earth bring forth every kind of living creature, cattle, creeping things, and wild beasts of every kind." And it was so. God made wild beasts and every kind of cattle and all the creeping things on the earth. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and they shall rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, the cattle of the whole earth, and all the creeping things that creep on the earth." And God created man in his image. In his image he created man. He created him, male and female. He created them. God blessed them, and God said to them, Be fertile and increase, fill the earth and master it, and rule the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and all the living creeping, all the things that creep on earth. God said, "See, I gave you every seed-bearing plant upon the earth, and every tree every tree that has seed-bearing fruit, that they shall be food for you, and to all the animals on the land, and to all the birds in the sky, and to every creeping thing on the earth, which there is a breath of life, all the green plants for food." And it was so. God saw all that he had made, and he found it to be very good. And there was evening and morning, the 6th day. Now we're going to Genesis 2. The heaven and the earth were finished, and their arrays. On the 7th day, God finished the work that he had been doing, and he ceased on the 7th day from all his work that he had done. And God blessed the 7th day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from the work of creation that he had done. Such is the story of heaven and earth when they were created. And we're going to stop here. This is Genesis 2:4. And we're going to catch up and do some more readings as I go by. I'm going to do one more video if you have any questions or anything that you might want to add. Yeah.